Hello, everyone. Let me kick this off. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Cantina MX Football Podcast. We're on episode 520. Liga MX has a little break. They're going to play the MLS All-Stars tomorrow. Today, we had the Skills Challenge, and it was a shit show. Aside from that, we already have our second casualty in the coaching carousel. Guido Pizarro resigned for Tigres. And, of course, what is a Cantina episode without recapping La Jornada 2 and this upcoming Jornada 3? Chivas finally get their win of the season against Juarez. So we'll be talking about that on tonight's episode. We are live on Twitter Spaces, and we're also live on YouTube. So a quick reminder to everyone, we will be distributing this podcast later tonight on all of your favorite platforms, including Spotify and Apple Podcast. Let us know how we're doing. Leave us a comment on Spotify, any areas of opportunity that we can address. Happy to do that. I know we've had some audio issues. Thank you for those that have been leaving us feedback in the comment section. We do take note of that and try to produce the best show possible. It's a live audience, so shit happens, but we are here today. Honestly, I had nothing better to watch than the MLS versus Liga MX All-Star Skills Challenge. I guess that's what they call it. Look, it was rough. There was obviously some weather issues, so the game got delayed. And even in its peak, the final rally, there was a delay. I didn't even know what happened. I ended up watching the 2020. They just put the 2025 Skills Challenge on like we wouldn't notice. And honestly, for a while, I didn't notice. But in the end, Mexico or Liga MX won. But honestly, like, I don't know why we're still doing this. The All-Star game is very much an American thing. And I feel like the quality has degraded. Like, no one takes it serious. You know, I remember back in the day watching like the home run derby, and you would be on the edge of your seat, and you would really appreciate, like, you would look forward to the home run derby and the All-Star game. They would take it serious. Same thing with basketball. You would see some crazy ass dunks, and there was an incentive to give your best. But the MLS, they've always been corny. They've always had these all-star games, and back in the day, I remember they used to schedule a friendly against like a team from England. Like they would schedule a match against like Everton or some shit like that because they were still in preseason mode. So it was an excuse for the EPL sides to get some action and get back in form in preparation of the season. But honestly, like we've been going at this Liga MX versus MLS all-star match for a couple seasons now, and with Apple having the exclusive rights to this, number one, who's watching it? Number two, like the players, you can tell they're not taking their best. The controversy on social media is originally Chivas had, I believe, like 5 players that were asked to participate in this match, and Milito said, yeah, no, we're asking us to be excused from this bullshit tournament or match. So in the end, I believe Chivas only sent 2 players, and those 2 players didn't even play for Chivas last season. It was Kevin Castaneda and Rey. So, tomorrow they're going to have a match. I'm sure there's going to be maybe 5 minutes of action, a lot of substitutions, but in the end, I don't think anyone's really stopping their day and watching this. But I'll leave that up for the panel. Looks like we already have Abdias ready to go. Let me see if I can patch him in. And if you're new here, feel free to request to speak. We always want our listeners to be involved in this podcast. Welcome, Abdias, to the show. How are we doing?
Buenas, putos. Pues, ¿cómo andamos?
Just, again, nothing better to watch than this stupid challenge today.
You're right about that, because I wasn't going to slump it as low as watching, what was it, Rosario versus some other fucking team in the Argentine league. I was like, ¿sabes qué? A ver, me echo un poquito de esto, pero no mames, güey. The fact that even at that, the Liga MX All Stars for the skills were getting fucking dog walked by teenagers, man. It was
Influencers
ridiculous.
and they had influencers that participate in some of these, and even Ocho Cinco, football player, participated in the crossbar challenge. I'm like, damn, bro, they there's they're really like desperate to get anybody to participate. Dude, I was watching these guys. I'm like, bro, put me in, coach. I can do this shit. Like, especially when they kept missing, bro. I'm like, oh my god, you guys are professional. You guys do this every day. Like, what is wrong with you?
You know what? I'm gonna be 100% honest with you, man. I don't think the Mexicans do that because this is some type of like mame type shit. All right, because if you go to Mexico, you're not out there in the park trying to be like, "Yo, can you hit it off the crossbar?" No, güey, estás echando putazos porque he just clipped you in the back of your heels while you were running. Like, it's a completely different vibe down in Mexico, and these little skill challenges don't mean shit to us. That's why I was watching. I was like, bro, you have a kid from MLS next,
Yeah, a
like
goalkeeper.
beating you. Like you have a teenager who's playing like in some shitty team out in Texas. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I actually don't know how that happened. He was part of the next, which I might have to lean on Habibi on this because he follows the MLS more than I do. But it's not USL. It's like the I don't know what it is, like second division or affiliate with, like maybe it's like the academy of FC Dallas or Houston Dynamo. But he doesn't play in the MLS. I don't know how he got in, but good for him. He was able to knock out one of the goalkeepers from Mexico. But I agree, Abdias. I do believe that they don't do these things in Liga MX. I think somebody on the broadcast mentioned that they play the like foot tennis more than this, as far as like doing like tactical drills and stuff. But hitting the crossbar and doing all this and that, yeah, it's not something that you see in training. Let's see. Looks like we finally got Joel and Habibi on. Welcome, guys. Talk to me.
Yes, guys, what's good? Time, I guess nothing else to do on a Tuesday night. With the whole All Star thing, honestly, I thought I was going crazy for a minute because I saw like Obed Vargas in there,
Yeah.
and I was like, I could have swore he went to Atletico like early on, like he cut his vacation short. And then on the next clip, they were saying that he Mora, and I was like, I thought he quit. I thought he dropped out. Like, what happened? Like, is he doing the skills challenge but not the game? And then I was all over the place, and I realized it was a recording.
Yeah. So the broadcast had technical issues and they had to, put something on while everybody was waiting. And yeah, I was super confused. But a lot of Chivas players asked not to participate in this All Stars match, and a lot of pushback from fans on social media, of course. But like I said, like, why are we still doing this? We already hosted the World Cup with USA and Canada. Like, can we pretend that we are still trying to get along and be friends? Because I don't see this benefiting either Liga MX or MLS. Like, let's not pretend that we're all like in kumbaya mode. Like, honestly, we all got our nut with the World Cup. We're probably not gonna ever like host a World Cup like this ever again between USA, Mexico, and Canada. I feel like USA would probably want to do its own bid, and same thing with Mexico. So can we just pretend that like this Liga MX and MLS thing is we were just doing it for that, and just you do your thing and you do and we'll do our thing, and we'll see you guys in CONCACAF Champions Cup. Like, this collaboration needs to like fizzle out, in my opinion.
Yes, and I think it's also a little bit of burnout. I was surprised that, after the World Cup, there was not many European clubs here because I was like, maybe I go check a game. They're always here for preseason. And no, there's Liverpool, Sunderland, Wrexham, and Leeds. those are the only clubs that came over from Europe to do like a preseason. So I think everyone's just burned out with soccer in the US. They want to take things a different route.
Yeah, it was a extended World Cup, 48 countries this time around, a round of 32. So I do feel like a lot of players are just like, all right, we're over this. We need some time to recover. And that's why I've been patient with Guadalajara. Um, it seems like they got kind of rushed back into the team and played in Jornada 1, and I think they need some time to just decompress. And yeah, man, I feel like it was too rushed of a project. We'll jump into Jornada 2 in a second. The other thing that I wanted to discuss, while it's still top of mind, was the Mexico U20. Right now, they are in CONCACAF qualifiers. I believe it's a joint ticket for the World Cup and for the Olympics. So they're kind of knocking out two tournaments in one. And they've had two games, and they've had two fantastic games. They were able to beat Los Ticos yesterday 2-0. And the reoccurring theme in these matches are the players that are stepping up for Mexico are from Chivas. Like Gamberos is looking great. Inda, Sandoval. Like, honestly, it's been a joy to watch these kids get the opportunity that they aren't getting with Milito. Aside from Santi Sandoval, he really stepped up in Liga and helped eliminate Tigres. Aside from that, like Gamberos and all these other kids that are doing really good for the U20 just have not gotten that same opportunity for Guadalajara. But it looks like the way things are progressing that Mexico will qualify on top in this group in the U20 CONCACAF. I don't know if you guys have caught some of the matches.
Yes, I mean, adding on to what you were talking about before, being rushed back then, I think it's a mix of everything. Chivas players only having 8 days of rest between the World Cup and going back to La Liga. And then you have guys like Cambreros, he's missing from Milito due to the Youth World Cup and now this Central American thing to qualify for the Olympics and as well, and then there's sub-20. So I feel like it's a little bit of everything. Like, maybe he wants to use these young guys, but it seems like every other month they're away with the youth national team. And Cambreros is the most interesting one because he's a starter with them. But at Chivas, he barely sees the last 10 minutes of a game, if at all.
Yeah, and there was a clip kind of circling on Twitter about Milito. It wasn't at his time at Chivas. I think he was still coaching in Argentina. But he's saying, like, look, a player can be like a 10 in terms of, tactical ability and his ability to play. But if they don't have the right mindset, then I'm going to give the opportunity to a player that's maybe a 6, but has the right attitude, is coachable, and, is motivated. So I don't know if maybe I'm just reading too much into it. I have a feeling that the issue with Gamberos, obviously, we've seen his capabilities. Like, this guy should be starting week in and week out. Obviously, it's hard to tap into a team like Chivas that just bought even more refuerzos. But it seems like the thing with Gamberos is maybe on the disciplinary, or maybe just like doesn't have the right mindset, and maybe he feels like he's the shit and he's like earned the more minutes. But this also, another thing that happened with Gamberos is he was really holding out on his contract. He didn't want to renew his contract with Chivas. He wanted to go to Europe, and I feel like Chivas kind of iced him out there. So there's a lot of things going on with Gamberos behind the scenes that I feel are stopping him from playing consistent minutes in Chivas.
Jaime, come on, bro. Come on. This is Mexican soccer. We know it better than anybody else. We were raised on this, and we've seen what la mano negra del fútbol y qué es lo que puede hacer. So you're telling me that you have a player who's good enough. He played in the under 17 World Cup? He did that one. Now he's playing the U20. He's scoring goals. He's doing all of these things in Chivas. When he got his breakout start, right? He was fucking lighting the world on fire. He was doing all of these things. He was rumored to be going to Europe, right? That was the trajectory that he was on. And because of all of that, he said, you know what? You brought me to the first team. You did not revise my contract. You did not give me a first team contract. My contract is about to expire. Y se agarró de los huevos, se amachó y dijo, no, me pagas porque me pagas o me voy. ¿Y qué fue lo que le hicieron a este morrito? Le dijeron, así mi rey, así se quiere comportar. Siéntese cabrón, a la banca. Y a la banca, y a la banca. Y cuando por fin dijo, ¿sabes qué, güey? Me estás rompiendo los huevos. Voy a firmar el papel. And he read up. You know what they did to him? Pues a la banca, perro. So come on, man. Don't come in here saying that it's a disciplinary thing. Don't come in here saying those things when we know the way that Mexican soccer operates.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that one. I think that he did start off hot with Chivas, and he had like good flashes, but I wouldn't say that he had that experience under his belt to leave to Belgium. When I heard that Milito quote, I was thinking more about like guys like Pulido, that are not comfortable, used to being the star of the team. And now the coach is asking you, like, hey, you might not play whatsoever. You might, but you need to have a good attitude. And it seems like Pulido and maybe even Guti were not a part of that.
Yeah, so the U20 World Cup was last year in Chile, and that's where we saw a lot of these guys, Obed Vargas, Gil Mora. We had Camberos, Yael Padilla. So a lot of these guys, Chicha Sanchez as well. So they got to the quarterfinals. They lost to Argentina, ironically, like we always do. And you guys were arguing with me back then, like, oh, with Gil Mora, I told everyone that he was already like overgrown for this process, and this, instead of playing in the U20 World Cup, he should be playing in like Liga MX or Liga at that time. And, you guys are like, no, man, he needs to follow that proceso. And, he might get, there's going to be scouts watching this. Nobody from that squad ended up going to Europe. And obviously now things have changed. Gil Mora, Obed Vargas both went to the World Cup. And even though Gil Mora was eligible to play for this under 20 team and be part of this proceso, he's not. And the decision is like he's kind of like outgrown this. Like he's now part of the senior side, which I've been saying for a long time. However, they're saying if Mexico qualifies to the Olympics, that he would be part of that team. He would be brought back in, which at that point that makes sense. It's the Olympics, right? But with Gil Mora, man, it seems like it's only a matter of time until someone snatches up in Europe. He's been doing great for Tijuana. He scored right the other day, so I'm really looking forward to seeing who snatches him up. That being said, we're almost in August now, and I have yet to see any players get any offers to go to Europe. Today, the smoke is Lira going to Monaco, but I won't believe until I see it.
I've been saying it, man. Like, Lira is leaving. Like, there's no ifs and or buts about it. He's going to leave. It's already been agreed upon. It's just, where is he going to? Even he has said it. Last time that they interviewed him, I can't remember who it was, but they asked him point blank, are you going to Europe? And he said, they asked him, are you leaving? And he said, yes, I'm going to Europe. We're just hammering out the details right now. I'm leaving.
I feel like he has a bad agent though, because
you know what? I'll let Habibi speak on this one, but yeah, it's more of like who you know, and it seems like he doesn't really know a lot of people.
Yes, his agents look terrible. It seems to be they have Diego Reyes, Edson Alvarez, Lira. What's the guy from America? It's the Kevin Alvarez, and then influencers. Like that's their
oh,
agent. Like, and it's influencers I've never even heard of, like 2 Mexican twins.
The
Oh no,
hell?
there's the Alana or Lena, the boxing girl. What's her name? FDS, you know her. You've done
I
dedications to her.
you know what, man? I've done a lot more to her, but yes, Alana. You know, like
Alana.
if you guys remember, last time that America was in the finals, there were some leaked photos that she had to go online and like explain a little bit too much as to how it was fake. But if y'all aren't aware of these photos that I'm talking about, it was that while her boyfriend, I think it's
Cáceres.
Andale, while he was playing
America
the
Santa.
final, she was how can I put this nicely? Playing the flute pipe.
And they got
So
leaked.
yeah, it got kind of messy on Twitter for a little bit.
Well, that's the
So
point. That's his agency. Like
That's
that.
it. That's
Like
the
like you
dude.
like you.
That's the
Yeah,
agent.
like you have a
Yeah.
yeah. That's his agent.
damn.
Like you have a great World Cup, and then you think people that have that type of talent on their roster are gonna put you over in Europe? Like, no, my guy. Like, you had to leave ASAP.
To me, it's like the tournament that Lira has. It's just disrespectful for him not to get an offer to go to Europe. Same thing with Piojo, man. I mean, and Quinones. I feel like those three should be getting, like, they should fire their agents if they're not being approached by anybody, because
All right.
they balled out.
All right, Jaime. I get it, but come on, bro. Let's pump these brakes a little bit. All right. Lira, even the tournament that he's currently having right now at Cruz Azul is fucking amazing. You see the runs that he's doing, you see the effort that he's putting in. He's putting in that World Cup caliber play and level that he was doing in regular league. He's just showing those European clubs like, yo, this wasn't a one-time fluke. This is what I do. This is what I did. Now, Quiñones. No mames, way. Quiñones is getting the bag over in Saudi.
Yeah, but he also led that league in goals.
Yeah, but who's gonna match his paycheck? Is he gonna take a pay cut?
I'm just saying, like, the kind of performance that he had in the World Cup, I think he was in the top 10 ranked players. And it's like, you see it time and time again. A player has an incredible World Cup, and honestly, like, you kind of ignore their club trajectory, and they get like a crazy offer to go to the EPO or La Liga. And it's like, bro, why can't that be us? Like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, based on your performance in the World Cup, like, you should be getting some really good lucrative offers. And the fact that we haven't been getting any, or maybe like the price tag for the Mexican is just too high. But, you know, that's the World Cup tax. Like, you have every right to ask for more money now.
Now, the only player here that has maybe a fighting chance is Piojo. But the thing that I'll say about Piojo is the same thing that I was saying during the World Cup and what I've been saying before that. Is Piojo's a great player, but he's not an attacking player. He's not that guy. And it's when you're using a mid as a primary defensive tool, what are you doing, man? Like, are you really going to pay that much money for him, especially at his age, to take him across the pond?
You know, Piojo scored our game winner, right? Over the weekend.
You know, it was off a set piece, right? And y'all played like ass the whole fucking game.
We played really bad. We'll get into that match in a bit. But yeah, you know, for me, it's just really disappointing to see in fact, we're going the opposite direction. Jorge Sanchez returned to Liga MX. He was in Europe. Orbelín Pineda returned. He was in Europe. And Cesar Montes, I don't know if that's official, but there was also rumors of him returning from Europe. So it's like we're going backwards, bro.
But this isn't new, though. We've had players had really good World Cups and not get any offers or any real offers.
I thought, Joel, we were going to get like the exodus of like 2006. That's what I thought.
But that's because the media started attributing all of that to La Volpe. A lot of those players were already going to leave. So people start thinking, oh, if you look good in the national team, you can leave.
Bro,
you know,
Kikin Fonseca was on nobody's radar, but he scored against Portugal and got a ticket to Benfica. No
See,
mama's way.
that's how we like to think that it works like that, but it doesn't. Look at Luis Hernandez, 98 World Cup, 4 goals. The best he had was a loan offer from Leverkusen. So I think you would have like someone like Kikin that's an outlier that someone saw him and let's go after this guy, but on average, it's just not there. It just hasn't been there, and we've seen really great performances from players, and nothing really came out of it. And a big part has to do with the foreigner spot. They count as foreigners, and there's a lot of competition for that. I wouldn't put it so much on the price tag. If a team wants you, the Mexican player is not really that expensive. I think I was hearing 3 million for Lira. That's peanuts, man. It really is peanuts, and if that's what they offer, and he shouldn't leave unless he wants to have that experience of being in Europe. But yeah, the whole World Cup thing, it's never. And I said during the World Cup, their players aren't really going to leave. Uh, that Exodus stuff, all of those Chiva players, a lot of that had to do with like Copa Libertadores and whatnot. A lot of those guys had been looking good, and some of those connections, like Hans Westerhoff, having connections in Holland with teams over there, and you had the other Dutch guy, De Klose. So that was more to it than just because they were looking good with the national team.
Yeah.
All right. Hold on. I gotta jump in here because I'm not gonna allow this Kikin slander. Okay. Now,
Come on, dude.
No. Y'all forgetting history. All right. There's a lot of revision that was happening here. Kikin was coming off of a hot streak at Pumas.
Yep.
Kikin was like tearing shit up at Pumas.
But then he went to Cruz Azul, right?
Hold on. I know. Then he sells his soul
Yep.
and comes to Cruz Azul, still being hot, being one of the best players in Cruz Azul. That's how he gets his call up to the national team, and then everything else that y'all say happened. Like, come on, man. Don't forget history.
No,
Don't forget
I'm
the way
not-
this played out.
Hey, Kikin was a nightmare. I mean, trust me, dude. In the 2004 Liga and the final against Chivas, like there was, there was converse because I think he got injured. He broke his clavicle or something. But no, he was a force to be reckoned with Pumas and then Cruz Azul. But what I'm trying to say is his World Cup goal against Portugal is what put the rest of the world on his radar, and he doesn't go to Europe, he doesn't go to Benfica if it wasn't for that goal. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like just looking at what you do in the World Cup, like a lot of eyeballs are on you, and the performance that Eric Lira had in this World Cup, Quiñones, Piojo, like you hate to see that. Like there's been nothing, bro. Like we might go without any players going to Europe, and that's sad. Especially how you guys were like saying this is like the historic Mexico World Cup that you guys have ever seen and been part of. Like the fact that we haven't been able to export anybody speaks volumes.
Well, yeah, as a team, because it was achieved as a team. But a lot of these players, if they were at a higher level, they would have already been in Europe.
Bro, who's that redhead for Argentina? Even he already got an offer to leave. and he called. He called Bellingham a chango, bro. Those are his words. He called him a chango, and that's why he got smacked in the head. And that guy got an offer to go to Europe. Like, no mama's way. He didn't even get any minutes.
I mean, that's probably the point. We're not as good as maybe you think we are. I looked this up in Chapin GPT, so it might not be accurate. But I asked what were the last 10 players, Mexican nationals, to leave from Liga MX to Europe, and you have Huescas, Montes, Jorge Sanchez, Jordan Carrillo, Santi Jimenez, Orbelin Pineda, Johan Vasquez, and then the rest are guys that went to La Liga 2, second division. But of the ones I just named, I mean, who's the only one that's doing legit over there?
Vasquez.
Johan, yeah.
That's it. Cesar Montes is in Russia. Rodrigo Huescas is getting speeding tickets. Santi Jimenez
Hey. He's coming off of injury. He's coming off of injury.
He'll be back.
Liga MX. Jorge Sanchez is back in Liga MX. So maybe
Yeah.
with these clubs, they look at the last 10 moves from the league for Mexican nationals and they say there's nothing really impressive here worth taking a shot on. Because look at Lita, he's what, like 5'8", 5'7"? That's a center defensive mid. If Osorio is the type of coach that likes his tall center defensive mids, who's to say it's not the same thing in Europe? The coach is like, I don't want a short CDM. This is not Barcelona. We're a mid-club table. I need all the advantage I can get.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
So what? Hold on. Are you telling me that like Chicha is never gonna leave to Europe? There's no love for short kings?
Bro, the best Chicha can do is lead to Chivas. That's his.
They just La Selección just announced that Santiago Sandoval has a fracture.
Oh my goodness.
That's fucking terrible, man.
But it could be like a minimal fracture, and he's back in 3 weeks.
He's gonna get operated, bro. I don't think that's a 3-week. I don't know. Ugh. Yeah, they just announced it a couple minutes ago.
Shit.
Hey,
goes the season at Chivas.
You guys mentioned Chicha Sanchez. I believe he is the shortest professional soccer player in the world right now. And, you know, he did score over the weekend against, was it San Luis? And, you know, that's just for everyone listening. Maybe we have a younger audience. Like, never stop believing in yourself, man. I played varsity high school soccer, and we had a really great striker on our team. And he said, I was like, bro, why didn't you go to college and try to go pro? He's like, oh, I was too small. He was like 5'9". But I'm like, bro, Chicha Sanchez is 5'1". 5'1" on a good day. He's out there playing professional ball for Tigres, bro. Do not let your dreams be dreams. Don't let the side. Yeah, go ahead.
If someone told him that, man, I think they did a disservice to him. Because there's a lot of strikers at that height. Chicharito is about 5'8", 5'9", same as
that's what I'm saying, bro.
Host of others. Someone got in his head, man. That sucks, dude. Sometimes people tell you shit, you know, and yeah, that's fucked up.
Yeah, I think it's crazy that people are just getting on Chicha Sanchez, but you know he's been in the league for quite some time. Obviously, we saw his like little speaker and dance at the U20 World Cup last year, and you know he was having fun out there, eating people's lunch, and it's like, bro, who is this kid, man? Like, he's so small, dude.
Bro, he eats like a caveman. Like his mouth open. You hear him like. There's not much audio to that video, but I swear to God, I can hear him smacking just.
I know, bro. Yeah.
Like, no mames, way. Just like this weekend, when he scores his goal, and I think it's Goriaran, who goes up to him, and he looks like a fucking giant.
I know, and he's not even that tall.
And he's not that big. He's a small dude as well. So I was like, no mames, hold on. And I started looking into it and everything. My dude is 21 and he's built like a 15-year-old.
He's like 5'1".
I can vouch for Gorarian. He's not tall, bro. I saw him. I covered a Tigres match in San Jose Leagues Cup, and I'm like, damn, bro, he's hella short. So I can't imagine what Chicha Sanchez looks like in real life, bro. But someone looked like they lost their toddler out there. He's out there scoring goals for Tigres. And while we're on the conversation at Tigres, we have had our second casualty in the coaching carousel. The first one was Coca before the season even started. Now it's Guido Pizarro, who, if you guys forgot, you know, he kind of was the one that led the mutiny against Paunovic, and he ended up retiring and becoming the coach. And his tenure at Tigres has ended. So what is going on with Tigres?
Supposedly he was asking for refuerzos, but he wasn't going to get any. And I don't know, maybe his backing was Gignac, and once Gignac left, that you know, there went whatever influence he could have had. Because they're supposedly saying that he quit, that he presented his resignation.
Yeah, it's not like they fired him. It was more of him resigning. So I don't know what's going on with Tigres, but yeah, Gignac has retired. You would think that would offload a lot of salary there, but they have not found a worthy. I mean, it's kind of hard to replace, Gignac. But I was under the impression that the fact that what they did to Paunovic, right? Like, kind of le tendieron la cama, and Pizarro said, "Oh, I'll take over this team." Everyone's, I was the captain for Tigres. I've had over 200 appearances. Like, you would think that they would give him more tenures, but the fact that he resigned, yeah, I don't know, man. But this might be
I believe
the downfall for Tigres.
I believe they have Torrado as like their GM.
Yeah, what's he doing over there?
I don't know, man. He failed upwards because that's a good paying job, and he was the GM for the selección, or had one of the main positions there in FMF, and he's the guy that he's credited with letting Tata stay. That when the news leaked later, well, I heard it after the World Cup, that Tata had wanted to quit and that he convinced him to stay until the World Cup. And I was like, that was so disappointing to hear. And so this dude, yeah, he failed upwards, man. I'm waiting for that to happen to me. Could lose my job and land in an even better one, better paying one.
Yeah. This might be the downfall of Tigres. We already know that this is the downfall of America. They weren't able to get any refuerzos. They're going broke. So there might be changes happening in Liga MX, dude. I think it's the year of the GOAT.
Downfall for the season? Do you mean like downfall for the season, or do you mean a downfall where they're down and out for a set amount of time? Like America, for example, they went at one point like 13 years without winning the league title.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how this shakes out. But with this Gignac retiring, it does kind of feel like the passing of the guard. Like, all right, well, it's time for another team to start taking over these legacy teams. Tigres obviously had a very successful decade, but the team got old and they didn't really replace players.
Well,
so
the dude left. The dude that used to be in charge of Tigres, I forget his name. He was really old. He's the guy that brought in Tuca.
I have no idea, dude.
And I forget his name.
Not Lebrija, right? No.
No. It was a Tigres, and he retires, and then soon after, Tuca's booted because it was like a whole new management, and so after Tuca, that's been all this new group that's been handling Tigres. And I don't know if it's like Irarragorri's kid, these dudes that are more like the guy from Club de Cuervos, these juniors running the club. And that could be sometimes, that they inherit these teams and they'll get rid of a bunch of people because they're old, or they feel that their ways are old, and then they just make a mess of things.
Another thing that might have caused Guido Pizarro's exit is the fact that they did sell Angel Correa. So it's like yet another player that is hard to replace. And, with that money, they didn't really try to go after anybody else. So,
but they didn't get the money, Jaime.
Oh, that's right. They're on fucking
6 installments to 2020.
What is that?
How many payments? How many payments?
Six, at least 6.
Oh my, bro! I have never heard of a Klarna payment plan for a professional soccer player.
Thing is that River sold Masturvino to Madrid for $60 million, 2 payment plans. So River has 30 million coming in and another 30 million. And how do you convince Tigres to accept you for 6 payment
They're
plans?
probably in
So
debt, honestly. I mean, Rivers already gone through
I,
that before, right? Where they went bankrupt and got to the second division, right? So they probably had money problems.
and speaking of the depth, that's one of the things about Guido. I also think it's like sweet divine karma because it's not like Tigres pooped the bed and they fired Pauno, and then Guido walked in. He was like, "Well, if no one else is available, I'll do it." No, he was part of the group because he was an active player. He was part of the group que le tendieron la cama, and his ulterior motive was to take that coaching job.
Yep.
And the rumor is that this morning, when he wanted refuerzos, Correa leaving, that the one of the directivos gave him a smart ass answer, told him, "Okay, you can get refuerzos, but we only have a $3 million budget." And then that's when everything like broke out, and he's like, "Well, screw it, I quit." And I don't know if he thought because he could get rid of Pauno and they made him the man of the project that he would have more power or more of an influence on the decisions. But they basically put him in his place and reminded him that he's just a coach, deal with what you have or get out of here.
You know, the biggest plot twist in this story would be if they announced Gignac as coach.
No, he didn't even get like. Apparently, they didn't even post like a social media goodbye to him. Apparently, he didn't leave on good terms.
No,
I don't think that's
I do recall the last regular home game of the season. Like the fans did show up and they did give him a tribute. But yeah, I mean, for someone that did so much for your club, you would kind of expect like a grand gesture. That being said, I'm sure he's still staying in Nuevo León, and I'm sure he's still going to be involved in Tigres somewhere in the front
But
office.
that's the thing. Wouldn't it been announced if he had some type of position within the club?
I think they
Unless he
did.
said,
No?
you know what?
No, the streets are saying that relationship's a little sour right now.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
unless he would have said, let me take a sabbatical, let me chill, and I'll be back in a year, and that could be like some type of club, representative.
I mean, he's doing his media thing right now. All right, let's not forget he was on TV for the World Cup.
Oh, he was?
So, yeah, TV Azteca had him
Oh, I didn't know that.
coming in and out. So they signed him. Yo, TV Azteca had a great programming for El Mundial. Pero yeah, dude, he's doing his media thing right now. Like, let him cook, let him do that part, because I think he's actually already signed with TV Azteca. I'm not exactly sure how that relationship's going right now, but yeah, man, let him do his media thing. Let him, flex that clean as fuck Spanish that he has, and go from there. Now, really quickly, as Habibi said, there's just something, güey, que no me sienta bien, ¿verdad? Porque Guido Guido Pizarro hizo todo ese desmadre, ¿verdad?
Yep.
Just to quit? It's to fucking be like, se puso sus moños y se fue, igual como Nacho Ambriz lo hizo en Toluca. Se le calentaron los huevos y dijo, ¿sabes qué? Pues chinguen su madre, yo me voy.
And why do it Jornada 2? You
Exactly.
got bounced by Chivas, like Tapatio, basically, in Liga. I think that would have been your perfect excuse to leave. Why wait until 2 weeks into the season to do this? Algo no cuadra, man. It might be worse. Like
y ¿sabes qué, güey? Y como acabas de decir, algo no cuadra. Y aquí está el pedo, ¿verdad? Porque el año pasado salieron reportes y se estaba hablando de todo esto, por lo menos en la prensa mexicana se estaba hablando de esto, de que Cemex o también Sexmex, no estoy seguro quiénes son, pero el mero patrocinador de estos cabrones was reassessing their relationship with the club and how much of an investment they were going to continue to put into the club.
I think, yeah, they had signed like a 30-year extension about a year ago. But like you said, how
but
much
they were
money is
reassessing
another
everything. Exactly.
Well, like you said, how much money counts too, because they could still be in it, but then just throw peanuts at them as
Y ese
opposed
era el
to
pedo. It had been reported that they were just going to throw peanuts at them, that they were no longer going to be investing the same way that they were before.
Wow.
around that same time, salieron las noticias. If you guys remember last year, Cruz Azul started finally putting a lot more advertisements or sponsors on their jerseys. Is because Cruz Azul is trying to do the same thing. Cruz Azul is trying to make the club financially stable to where it doesn't depend on la cooperativa. So
Don't get
there's
any
all of these
ideas.
shakeouts happening in Mexico.
You guys
like,
are homeless.
with the finance.
And I know I put it in the it was been circulating that there was a team, was it in Peru, that sold like how many advertising spots, and then they ended up making a collage of a jersey.
Yeah, the whole shirt. The whole
Yo,
shirt.
yo, that thing is
Bro,
dope.
they
dude.
sold,
I might buy it.
They sold, I think, like 200 or 300 advertisements, and they turned
Yeah,
it into
they're tiny.
they turned into a collage, and they were able to raise money. I'm like, oh, bro, don't give Cruz Azul any ideas.
Hey, we could maybe sponsor.
Look,
the average price was $60, man. That tells you how much.
Bro, we should advertise on that shit. Damn.
We need
missed opportunity
Bro, we
for
need
Cantina Mecky.
I need to reach out and see if we can get Cantina logo
Next
on
season.
that. Yeah, next season.
next season's logo, next season's jersey. Shit. Oh, it's Alejandro Rodriguez is the president I was thinking of.
Oh.
And they won 4 league titles with him from 2011 all the way to 2017. So he was one of their main. And then after he retired, that's when Tuca left, and you started seeing all these changes. So who knows? Yeah, as Avia said, man, even Cemex is pulling out. I don't know what's going on over there.
While we're
and let's be honest, guys, the last thing, if you're Tigres, the last thing that you want is to see Sex-Mex pull out. Like, you don't want that, regardless of what it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with the work.
While we're on the topic of finance, we do have Tomas, who's been patiently waiting. He might have some insider knowledge for us. Welcome, Tomas.
Buenas, muchachos. Real quick, I've been self-admittedly, I've been pretty black-pilled on soccer since the World Cup. Mainly just kind of seeing Spain win and then looking at Mexico and thinking like, shit, we're so far off from it. But that did give me an opportunity to look at other aspects of the game. And that's the financials, right? The financial transparencies that we're seeing, not just in Liga MX, but FIFA. If you guys have seen, FIFA's been doing some shady funding of Russian clubs, and Russia's kind of on the no. They're on the naughty list, and they've been shuffling some money to Russian teams. I think even Pirlo today, who was at one point for like a couple hours, was named the head coach of Italy.
Mm-hmm.
He was disregarded because of his potential connections to Russian clubs. But I know the topic of conversation in Liga MX, everyone calls Americanistas broke, right? And America's broke. We look at the influence that money has on a team and how much it can energize a franchise. I know it's early, but let's look at Atlas. Atlas new ownership. I think it was I don't know if it's confirmed. Maybe you guys know, but there's like rumors of a new stadium, right? Of a new stadium revitalizing their time there. But the short of it is, el rumor es que Club America's broke, right? And they're broke. They can't afford to extend Jardinet, all that good shit. But I was looking at some of so for those that don't know, they're not a finance nerd or just not psychotic. You may not know, but Club America is a publicly traded company in Mexico. Mm-hmm. So some of their financials are available to the public, not as great as in the US, but essentially they've made an exorbitant amount of expenses and capital expenditures to the stadium renovations of La Azteca, because La Azteca is part of that publicly traded company. So in my opinion, just kind of looking at their finances, I think that part of the hesitation to go out there and sign a big name is kind of forecasting if those expenses are going to pay off.
America's been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
Even since Pelaez was there, and when they had Piojo, And I remember there used to be criticisms of some of the refuerzos that would go in, and they would end up doing really well. And it got to the point where America was mainly going after Liga MX players as opposed to like the America that we all had this image of when they brought Bam Bam Zamorano, when they brought Piojo Lopez. They bring these really big names, even
Like they
coaches.
just signed, they just signed some kid from Colombia, right? Like some
Yeah.
very, very, very like
Young,
people are shitting on him.
The next
Yeah,
Quiñones, maybe.
maybe.
No, but I'm
maybe.
just saying they when they switched up, they actually became more successful than when they used to spend. Because at one point, and we talked about it here before, at one point they had about 30 players on their payroll. And there were so many players that they had them on loan, not just in Liga MX, but to other leagues because that they were just signing, a lo pendejo. And then they sort of cleaned that up, and they've been just more, I would say, financially stable. Uh, I wouldn't say that they're like broke.
They're just
I
financially
just think,
cautious right now. Maybe trying to be a
yeah,
little bit more
very,
just
yeah,
be a little
they've
bit
been
more
caught
responsible.
because competitively, they're still very competitive. And I feel that what's hurting them is that they went through this cycle of they were just fucking winning everything. And the fans, and especially their fans, expect them to have stayed in that, that peak. And now that they're not there, they're sort of getting shit on. But I mean, they were still playing finals with Jardine. I mean, they might have not won
It's
it, but they're
They
playing there.
were, Joel. But right now, Tomas is being
But how long
nice
has
with
it been? It's
he's
not
being
like it's been
nice
3 years.
with his juicy report on the America finances. But what I'm gonna tell you is, I'm gonna tell you what America fans said. The only reason we're getting all these Brazilian players on loan is because we're putting money into La Azteca. Once the World Cup's over, we sold 49% of our rights to a foreign investor. The money's going to come in, and we're going to have big refuerzos right after the World Cup summer. Who is your
Yeah.
big refuerzo right now? It's a 20-year-old Colombian on loan,
yeah.
1 year loan with an option to buy for $2 million. Does that sound to you like a team that has money right now, especially
No,
of a team of America status? I don't
Están
think
doing
no.
the Airbnb model right now. They're renting out their La Azteca. They're doing a little cash flow. Maybe somebody living in the basement while
That's
they're
crazy.
So, no, I was expecting this too because, like you said, there was there was that 49% purchase, and and they're the ones that mentioned that they were going to invest. So I don't know what's going on there or where the holdup is. But I wouldn't be too worried because it's not like the team sucks. Not like they're finishing 15th or 17th. They're still in the fight.
What do you all think about this other not a tinfoil hat, just a different way of looking at things? And I'll give credit to, I don't think he's in the chat, to our colleague Sombrerito. He mentioned, for example, Cruz Azul, right? They're homeless, we'll call it. They're just kind of living rent to rent, or month to month rather. What if, because of the Cemex uncertainty, they've been able to use that extra money of not building. They're kind of just kicking the can down the road. They've been able to use that money to inject it into their football operations over the last few years to be as good as they are now. Do you guys think that was like a calculated thing or just kind of coincidence? And now that's just like something that might be true.
That's just Mexican synergy at its finest. All right. It just so happens that we don't have a club. We have all of this money. We also got rid of Billy, who was doing shady things with the money from the cooperativa and how it was that it was flowing to and from the club. So everything is just kind of working in Cruz Azul's favor right now. It's really beautiful to see because let's be honest, man. There's a 6-year-old right now who has seen nothing but Cruz Azul pipiando and winning trophy after trophy at both international level and domestic level.
Are those
Mientras
trophies
que
in the
yo,
room
güey.
with you right now?
No, güey, las tengo en mi cabina. Mira, ahora tú te puedes sentar. Cuando
Hey,
ganes
man.
algo, me hablas. Pero mira,
This is the
güey,
guy that
yo de
celebrated a
30
16 league
años,
cup.
de 30 años he visto a Cruz Azul perder, sufrir y
No,
todo
yeah.
lo demás. So
You
you
guys
know
have,
what?
man, you've been dragged through so many torturous seasons and finals. Yeah, I'll give you your 5 seconds of
Good
fame.
for
Crown
good for you, little
torture
kid.
house.
Good for you, little kid. Like that in the past 6 years, all you've seen is your team be champion.
Hey, Abdias, low key,
Pero
I want to get that little like what's the name of that little like costal que tienen, dude? It's it's like a little like plushy costal, bro. Oh my god, I want to get that.
bro, you
from
said like half its name, Costalito.
costalito.
Like
I want one of those, dude.
you don't understand, man. I'm so close to getting a Costalito tattoo.
Oh no, don't go that
Like
far,
I
dude.
just a little one.
Hey,
Pero-
pregunta for the Chiva hermanos. How do you all see Atlas getting some shine right now in Guadalajara? Do you guys think that's healthy? Like a good rivalry between Chivas and Atlas, especially if maybe they do build a new stadium, maybe they capture the young Guadalajara fans, and then it becomes a little bit more 50-50 and kind of rivalry.
Tomas, I'm still waiting for them to respond. Oh, sorry, I hear an echo. I'm still waiting for a response from the 2 titles that they won. We haven't responded yet. Let's start there. Like they won back-to-back titles and Chivas have failed to respond. So to me, that's the most embarrassing thing, the most painful thing I've seen in this, in the 2020s. And still waiting for that. As far as everything else, El Akron is a World Cup stadium now, so I have no issues there. I would for the city of Guadalajara, which I love and have visited so many times. I would love to see new stadiums, even if it's Atlas. Any stadiums in Mexico that are new, like I'm all for it, dude, because we definitely need to renovate a lot of these old stadiums.
Tomas, I didn't want to skip over that question you asked about Cruz Azul. I think that them being homeless has been a huge advantage because right now Cruz Azul has one of, if not the best roster in Liga MX as far as like balance and depth. And I would just say it's like you move out of your parents' house, you're paying rent, you're paying car note, insurance, and everything. And then you look at your buddy that's still living with his parents and no responsibilities, and he's driving like a brand new like Mercedes or something. That's Cruz Azul right now. Like, did I do wrong by spending 200 million on Acron? Did I do wrong by doing all these things? Should I just stayed at Jalisco and rented a stadium El Tres de Marzo from Tecos and just put all my money into the roster instead?
That's a great
So it is a good
analogy.
question.
That is a great analogy. Still living at home, saving money. And
I did talk about that a long time ago, about how Chivas would have maintained just more consistency and could have been able to win more had they invested their money in the club instead of the stadium, because they hit a snag for a long time. And Jalisco's like a really good, stadium. And the reason for the stadium wasn't
dude,
so much.
it's a shithole now, Joel. I don't know if you've been there lately, but it's not that great.
No, but 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 it wasn't like, it's not like bad, it's not like falling apart. But overall, like the reason Chivas built their stadium, the original idea was to have a whole, like it was gonna be a whole like center, like there's gonna be a museum, shopping center, movie theaters, a lot. It was a big project, and the stadium was there to help kick it off, and it caused a lot of financial problems for Vergara and stuff. So I do feel I remember, a few years after the stadium was built, and I was like, did we really need a stadium? Team doesn't really win. We're like Chivas was like the mid table, bottom table with the nicest stadium team for a long time. But I mean, it's working out now. Team's finally competitive in World Cup games, so I don't know if it's paying off, I don't know where those financials are, but I feel Chivas would have probably had at least one more league title by now.
All right, all right. Now, really quickly, just to look at the other side of the quarter. Tomas, are you telling me that America is house poor? Is that what happened to America? They invested so heavily in their home that they can no longer sustain a competitive club or even roster?
Look, they chose to do these expenses at interest rates, some of the highest we've seen in recent years, and Habibi made the funny analogy there. Shit, you're seeing a lot of millennials or Gen Zers live with their parents now longer to save some dough. Maybe America shot themselves in the foot. We'll see.
So, would it be safe to say that looking at their financials, looking at the current state of things, there's a reason why they brought in a coach who is a wizard with the youth? Why they have openly declared that their project is to work with their cantera, identify new youth prospects, and propel them forward. So that sounds a lot like what Chivas was supposed to be doing during their shit sipping years with Tapatillo and all of those things. So that's why I'm saying let's look at the other side of the coin, because it seems as if Chivas already went through those trials and tribulations and now they're reaping the rewards while America seems to be on the back heel of things.
Yeah, that was like an official statement, right? That America put out that they're gonna focus on like the farm system, and was that an official statement from America or maybe not? But I did.
No, it was a
I didn't see it in
ESPN.
letterhead.
Oh, okay. What was that, Habibi?
It was an ESPN
Oh, okay.
report. It was not from America.
Yeah, because I mean, Almada he looks like he has no enthusiasm for this project, and it might be a short project from the looks of it. Obviously, he's known to make some magic happen at Pachuca with a lot of young players, and maybe they brought him in for him to do the same thing at America and turn them into a farm system, and I have no issue with that. That's totally fine with me.
Jaime,
Wait,
if you
farm
heard me,
to sell
Lito,
players?
if you heard me, Lito say, hey, once the Chivas players from the World Cup join the team, it's not going to matter. It's not going to make the team any better. Like basically saying the roster's like depleted. How would that make you feel? Because that's what Almada said about their World Cup players. He said it doesn't matter if they join the team; it's not going to make them any better. So
Yeah, it seemed like a backhanded comment there, and I mean, I'm sure he knew what he was signing up for. Maybe they lied to him and did a whole like 180 on him and said, "Oh yeah, we'll get you some refuerzos," and then we're 2-3 jornadas in, and now he's starting to realize, man, that was a fucking lie. So I could absolutely see this project dead on arrival, and seeing another coach be a casualty early on in the season.
Come on, man. Did you hear the heartbreak and the disinterest in his voice?
Yeah, dude, he did not have any enthusiasm.
That's like, bro, that's like when you get into a fight with your wife, when you're like, you know what? Que chinga su madre. I'm not sleeping on the couch. That's my fucking bed. But you do everything you can not to touch. Se está alejando ese cabrón. Like, he doesn't want anything to do with that project, at least not as it stands right now. Is he going to work on it? Is he going to do all of those things? Of course he is, because he's a professional. Pero there's been a rupture there.
If you flop at America or burn bridges with America, I'm sure that will not go well for the remainder of your career. So hopefully he's smart enough not to do that. That being
it will not go well.
Yeah.
Liga MX's new president is an Americanista.
Yeah, let's all put our freaking what is it? Our
tinfoil hats.
Tinfoil hats on. Yeah, absolutely.
Whoa, yeah. ¿Sabes qué? Yo, tú cabrón, tú que me estás escuchando ahorita y vas manejando, grab the tinfoil, put it on, because America is way too powerful. Okay, we cannot be having these conversations on open air, porque si no, nos mandan al sicario de la información o el sicario periodista. So, cuidado con Faitelson.
I want to go over some of the Jornada dos results. It actually started on Tuesday with Cruz Azul beating Puebla 2-1. You know, they actually came back and won that game. So they were also asked to sort of forward this match so they could play their Copa de Campeones match against Toluca. Toluca ended up losing to Pumas 2-1 on that Tuesday. And how did it go for you guys in the Copa de Campeones, Abdias?
Ay, papá. Well, let me tell you this, right? We just had the whole conversation about how Cruz Azul, the club, is trying to become financially independent from the Cruz Azul Cementera and institution. So we've taken new sponsors on the jersey. We've done all of these things, and we're starting to reach the point to where it's starting to look like a NASCAR or an F1 kit. Because I have a patch for the 10th. Para la décima, I have a patch de campeón de campeones. I have a patch for equipo de la temporada, del año, no tan solamente la temporada, which awards consistencia during apertura en clausura, which Cruz Azul won. I have all of these badges on me.
It's
So-
like the fucking what do they call them? The damn it. Sorry, man, not out of words today. The Boy Scouts. You guys are
Yeah,
getting your
exactly.
badges.
The merit badges, just all over, bro. And se me está olvidando el parche de campeón actual. So Cruz Azul is rocking all the gear, my dear good sir. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Like, times are good. And if this is what it takes to be a bum that's couch surfing and doing all of these things, but I get to invest in my club, ¿sabes qué, güey? Give me a cardboard box, because I'm all about this life.
What was that final score? Because I didn't catch that match.
I believe it was 3-1.
Damn.
Yeah, bro. No. It was an ass whooping. And you know what? I'm happy that we're on this topic right now, because let's talk about Cruz Azul, right? Cruz Azul, the first match in the week, which was against, God, I was confused the two. I want to say Puebla, La Franca, right? Bro, they played like shit. They played so badly, even though they won and they had like momentos of magia, right? If it wouldn't have been for Luca and the work that he was doing off the ball, and if it wasn't for Erebe, my Nigerian guy, se nos hubiera ido a la madre, güey, because Cruz Azul, for the second time, had to come back from behind to win this match. Pero the thing is, they didn't have Palavecino. They didn't have ay, güey, mi chocolatao in the back. I was Dita, ándale. We didn't have Willardita. We didn't have like a lot of key players. And the big thing, man, and it scares me, and we've kind of had this discussion over on the Discord. It's the fact that Kevin Mier, as good as he is and everything, there's two things that seems to have happened with him. One, before the injury last season, he was already struggling with shots from outside the box. He has an issue with those shots. And that's what's been coming through as of recently, to be able, like, it just fucking breaks him down. There's nothing that he can do to stop him. It's a glaring gap in his abilities. And the second one is that after he got popped, I don't know what happened with him, man.
Yeah,
it's like he's scared. He doesn't play with his feet anymore. Like, there's been a clear decline on him. And the thing is, for your goalie, he has to be fucking fearless. All right? Because he's going out there, he's risking body and limb. And you know what? I think he's scared.
Could be.
And that's what's happening.
What was the injury he went through?
It was a fractured foot.
Oh, yeah.
It was a fractured foot because he went out, he was trying to clear the ball. Carrasquilla came over and just fucking ripped him with a heater to the bottom of the foot. Like, it was horrible. Right? Like, that shit broke my heart when it happened. I was like, bro, he was in such good form. He was going to be the starter for Colombia. Like, he was having a hell of a time. Y luego, Carrasquilla lo truena. Pero ¿sabes qué? El fútbol da revanchas y más que nada, el fútbol es justo. And right before the World Cup, you know what happens?
Yep.
Carrasquilla gets injured in the same type of pointless play. So that's what happens. That's called karma. Go fuck yourself. Now, all of the deficiencies that Cruz Azul had during their game against La Franja were gone. Because if you guys watched that Toluca versus Cruz Azul, señor, football sexo was on the table. Like, I know you guys want to claim it as your own. Que Chivas plays this, and Chivas plays that. Wait, Chivas jugó de la fregada, pero Cruz Azul, no mames, güey. Cruz Azul se miraba de que, puta madre, güey, wiki Dios es como se tiene que decir. Granted, he inherited the club, he didn't build it, this, and that. Pero ¿sabes qué? As it is right now, Wiki has more official titles than La Volpe.
Yes, it's the stat that's been going around, making its rounds on social media, and it's definitely a topic of conversation that we might have later on in the pod. Let's just dive right into Chivas, because I watched that game in its full entirety, and yes, it was pissing me off. They really reminded me of like the Mexico-England game in so many ways. Dominating possession. I think we had 80% at one point, and Milito just kept sending more and more players on the attack. He at a certain point, he just got super desperate and just brought in more offensive players. Reminds me of the same game plan Aguirre had. And in the end, man, Juarez almost pulled this off. They almost walked away with a draw if it was not for Piojo Alvarado's goal. We got it at literally like 5 seconds before the 96th minute. And in the end, Chivas did get the 3 points. But, man, that was a really, really frustrating match to watch. And it's just the finishing, man. The finishing is bad. Hormiga, unlucky, he hit the crossbar. But nonetheless, man, there is definitely a lot of fine-tuning that this Chivas team need to go through. And I put it in the Discord, like, wake me up in Jornada 10. Let me know where we're at then. Because right now, I feel like they're still trying to figure shit out. And they're still recovering from the World Cup that is mentally draining, physically draining. So it's going to take a couple of Jornadas for Chivas to see that form that they had last season.
Yes, I'm not worried the way I see it. He was missing players due to the World Cup. Now he's missing a lot of bench depth or even starters like Santi Sandoval that were with the youth national team. So, it's just a little bit of everything. I'll look at the bright side. They created chances, shots on target. So I think once, the team is nice and oiled up and, that finishing is on point, I think we'll be back where we were last season. And speaking of Santi Sandoval, I don't know if somebody wants to look it up while we're doing this. I read that report from the national team. It's saying that he injured his ring finger on his right hand.
Yeah. It's like
that doesn't add up to me. How don't they just give you surgery and they put that little metal thing around your finger and you're good to play?
Yeah, I don't know why he's asked to go back to Chivas. Maybe they're the ones that have to administer the operation or something. But he's
tinfoil hat moment. He punched somebody on the team. They told him to leave.
He celebrated a little bit too hard on the goal. I don't know. But yeah, it's a shame because Santi, again, he was one of the reasons why Tigres got eliminated in Liga, and he really stepped up for us when we lost all of our seleccionados. He's been in great form. Him and Cambero's been really connecting, and now his U20 run has ended.
Now, just to bring it back to domestic play and Chivas. No mames, güey. 14 tiros de esquina y no pudiste meter ni un solo puto gol. You also couldn't score from open play. You had to score from a set piece. What's happening?
Did we take the 3 points or no?
Yeah.
Barely, dude. Barely. Eso se llama ser un pinche migajero.
Did we get the clean sheet?
Yeah, for me, I'm not too worried. I would have been pissed off if the game did end in a deadlock. It's an ugly win. It's not something I'm proud of. And, like I said, it's going to take a couple jornadas for us to get our shit together. It doesn't help that we are going to be disrupted from league play very soon with Leagues Cup kicking off, I believe, as early as next week. I could be wrong, but yeah, it's happening very soon. So even adding more to the lack of form for this team, this is going to get us out of our funk.
Yo, quick question on Camberos. Is this the season that he breaks out and becomes a formidable contributor, or is this kid starting to get a stigma that everywhere he goes, he's lacking maybe discipline or some kind of maybe personal skill set that he doesn't have yet, like maybe maturity? Because he's balling out now, but yeah, I've heard his name for a while, and it's like you're kind of getting to that point, dude.
Yeah, I mean, if he if he continues to have a stellar tournament, maybe leads the tournament in goals, I think that's something that cannot be ignored by Milito, and he's gonna have to shit or get off the pot, and maybe even force an exit. The transfer window doesn't end until the August, so who knows what happens with Gamberos? But I've been extremely frustrated that he hasn't been getting those minutes and opportunities at Chivas, and then we went out and got even more refuerzos that I believe play in his position. So, yeah.
I think he'll have a Chino Huerta moment where he'll have his best moments somewhere else, and he'll somehow wind up on the national team. Look at Yael Padilla.
Mm-hmm.
Yael Padilla was not getting minutes at Chivas, and now he has back-to-back starts at Xolos, and that's great. Good for him. The more Mexican players out there in the league that are getting minutes, I'm all for it. And it also speaks good about Chivas because we actually have depth right now. 3-4 years ago, Cambreros would be forced to play because we didn't have much options. So I'll look at the positive behind it.
Yeah, look at Carlos Fierro, man. That guy was one of the few players from that U17 World Cup roster that just got jumped right into the deep end. He had so many caps for Chivas, easily over 100, and it's just because we didn't have anybody else at that time, and he had to carry a lot of weight and responsibility at such a young age, and that is not the case with Gamberos right now. So, yeah, we'll see.
Speaking of carrying a lot of weight and Carlos Fierro, did you see his alumni or his fellow comrade La Momia?
Yeah, dude, that guy's over there doing like
He's enjoying life.
He's enjoying life. Yeah. Yeah, no, there's been photos of Momia over the years. I think he just like retired from soccer and ended up being a contractor or something. And yeah, it's just crazy to see some players that had some historic moments with the youth squad and scoring some. He scored against Germany. He scored a freaking bicycle kick. Like that is a memory that is fully ingrained in my mind, and it's crazy to see him just coaching from the sidelines like little league, dude. Like what, dude? That's crazy. Let me go over some more results. We had Pachuca lose to Querétaro 2-1 on Sunday. Necaxa beat Monterrey 2-1 on Sunday. So some upsets there. The Tigres match, we kind of did talk about that 2-2. Chicha Sanchez scored the second goal for Tigres. But in the end, David Rodriguez from San Luis equalized in the late goings, 89th minute. Santos lost to Atlas 1-0. And if I'm not mistaken, there were some complaints after the game from Santos. I'm not sure, but they are divorced. They're no longer part of Grupo Orlegui. Grupo Prodi has acquired Atlas, so they're no longer under the same ownership. And Tijuana on Friday beats León. PK from Gilberto Mora. So off to a good start for that kid and for Loco Abreu. Currently, as it stands, TJ are in first place. We'll see if that team has legs for the long rounds.
What was the last drama? Was that they were listening to the Santos pregame strategy or the the pep talk or some shit like that in the locker room.
My understanding,
Halftime started changing.
yeah, my understanding that it was somebody like what snuck in.
No, there was a Atlas personnel outside of their locker room during halftime, listening to, I guess, the tactics or the changes that the Santos coach was going through. And you guys were just brothers last season, and now you're like spying on each other and cheating. It's just not a good look.
You don't have to spy on Santos. They're dog shit, man. And I don't know how they're able to retain Carlos Acevedo. I feel so bad for him. He might be a lifer at Santos when this is all said and done, and I think he deserves to be playing for a much bigger club.
Yo, really quickly, since we're talking about Acevedo, wait, he was out there literally showing and giving the cheeks. There was something wrong with his shorts. I think
He lost
I
the
think he tried
elasticness.
tightening them. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you see him like struggling with like this string, and he's just
I
pulling.
thought he was
and
just showing
pulling.
ass, just to show ass, like he was in prison. But
It was so bad because just recently there was a clip that came out like that was being shot from behind the goal,
Yeah.
and like he's trying to backtrack, and his pants are falling so badly. It's comical, and it's like, yo, how is this like a professional sports team? Like this looks like something that should be happening at Talacha, not like la Primera División. Entonces, no mames, güey. Like it was almost as good as like when there's a tacuache or a dog on the field.
Do you remember when the junior was announced as president and he brought his best friend to all the players and then he was going over like the new formal wear that we're going to use? And he was saying, in order for you guys to play good, you got to look good. And now he can't even give them proper uniforms.
yeah,
Oof.
dude.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening over there, man. At least they already have new ownership, so hopefully they can start righting the ship. Because come on, that club is a cult legend. All right, I still remember them.
Oh, they
Like-
had their glory days in the early 2000s. Borghetti and Pony Ruiz. Yeah, dude, they had a lot of great players. And, this brings me to my next topic. It's very frustrating to see some of these clubs that are just like not even showing up or half-assing it or just don't care. And there are zero repercussions because there is no promotion relegation. And La Liga de Expansión has been complaining and protesting, and they've been doing this thing where they don't play for the first minute of the game. The game gets kicked off and they refuse to play, and it's been happening in quite a few games around the Liga de Expansión. Obviously, this is after they announced that there is no promotion relegation, that they're not doing that. And it's like, bro, like, what is there an incentive to play now if you're in the second division? Like, even if you win championships, you're not going to get promoted. And then what are the repercussions for just playing like ass if you're like the Querétaros of the world or the Juárez of the world, man? It's like there needs to be pro reg.
But the promotion, it wasn't really happening. The last team that tried to stay, it was Lobos Buap. They couldn't even get a TV deal, and they were losing money. And you had Mazatlan. They didn't win promotion. They bought it. Same with some of these other clubs. I think Necaxa is probably the last team that legit got into first by winning promotion, and the others have just bought their way back in. And a big part of that is because we had teams like Veracruz and like Juarez where they owed months worth of back pay to their players, and not just the players but the staff and whatnot.
Veracruz,
So
right?
yes, Veracruz, and you see like, and so FML was trying to avoid all of that, and they did these like rules that they've gone back on them. Like Cruz Azul, for example, that you need to have a stadium, and they don't have a stadium. but at the same time, Cruz Azul doesn't have those financial problems where they're not paying their players. Uh, and so that's kind of the thing where they wanted to make sure that the teams that were in first could afford a certain level of competition, and not just be like very bottom feeder esque. And I, I would personally, yeah, I would love like a promotion relegation, but we've never really had one. I don't know how many years it's been since it
So,
was legit.
uh,
But I mean,
yes, Atletico San Luis was the last team to get promoted,
San Luis,
and that was in
yeah.
2019, just before obviously COVID, and that's when they used the excuse to shut everything down. Joel, I think
Okay,
for
so,
me, it's like, okay, fine, like it's not a sustainable system. I understand that, but if you're not gonna allow teams from the second division to get promoted, or the first team or teams in the first division to get delegated, at least expand the league to 20 teams and give the opportunity to two teams from Liga de Expansión to at least get into the first division.
yeah, they did talk about that. I don't know what's going on with the whole expansion, and I would be all for it as well. Shit, I would like even more teams. Do 24, as long as they're able to maintain it. But second division, and you go all the way back to like 90s. Even then, it wasn't financially stable, and back then, all the teams were basically like the farm teams for the first division teams. And every team had like Tapatio, for example, was Chivas team. San Luis was America's team,
Cruz
and
Azul
so forth and
Hidalgo.
so forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cruz Azul. That's what the teams were, and very few teams that could go back up, and then they will fall back down. But I think I don't think Mexico has that culture where you can make it work, where fans want to go see their local team because the fans aren't so much tied to whatever local team they have. They're more likely to be fans of like Cruz Azul, America, Chivas than of like their own team. It's just that it's not there, you know. The way the culture in Mexico developed, it sort of like bypassed all that grassroots because it became professional pretty quick. And
Well, I don't know if you've seen Welcome to Necaxa, but that team relocated to Aguascalientes, and well, originally, like, the people that live there, they didn't really like adopt a team, and obviously they haven't had much success since their relocation to Aguascalientes. But at least in the show, they showed that there were some like hardcore fans in Aguascalientes, and like they do support the team, and they got skin in the game. So for me, it's like, I do agree, like there are some really, really small clubs in La Liga de Expansión, but then there's some other teams. Obviously Atlante was able to get back in, and they're doing pretty good. Obviously it's very early, but that is a team that absolutely should be in the first division. To me, another team that comes to mind is like Morelia. They should be a team that's in the first division. Maybe Leones Negros, right? I feel like
oh
there's
yeah,
just there's
that's
like
my,
teams with historical merit that are playing in Liga de Expansión, and it just breaks my heart that they don't have an opportunity to get in the first division.
I think
yeah.
this could be like a 3 hour episode, honestly, because there's so much to cover. Like, Joel is talking about like Lobos coming up and not being able to secure a TV deal. To me, that's on the league. Like, if to me, it feels like a new team comes up and you're like, all right, best of luck, buddy, figure it out. No, no, that comes to the league, and it should be the answer, which is another hour-long topic. It's a centralized TV deal. Instead of everyone trying to figure out their own station or their uniform sponsor, no, it's like the league, everyone has the same uniform sponsor, we all have the same TV deal, it goes off percentages, so when teams do come up they have like a nice handicap to hold them. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Bomba Rodriguez, was that his name? The guy that was the last
Yeah.
president of FMF. Didn't he leave because apparently he was working on that, but the owners got greedy and didn't want to give up too much?
Sounds about right.
That's exactly it. It shook down to a couple things. It shook down to the percentages and how it was that said revenue was going to be shared. And because it was all driven off what was on your financial statements, what was on the books. So if you're Mexico and you're doing Mexican things and kind of hiding your money, guess what? When an audit comes through, they tell you the valuation of your club is X amount. Y lo dices, pero espérate, güey, ¿cómo chingados de que I only bring in this much of the pie? I deserve a lot more. Y ahí es donde vinieron los primeros putazos. Los segundos chingazos vinieron cuando se dieron cuenta que la bomba iba a llevar, I believe it was it was anywhere between like 10%, 10 to 7% commission off of the deal. That's what he was going to take home himself.
I see.
And I remember this was like a multi-billion-dollar deal. So he was going to take a nice little chunk of cash for arranging all of these things. Because at the end of the day, the Apollo Group was his contacts. It was his working. It was his everything. But when that got brought on the table, that was the one unifying factor that brought a lot of factions within FMF together. Para decir, no. Sorry, not FMF, because let's remember, they're separate entities. Although they're the same thing. El Comité de Dueños. So that's how those things shook out. Now, really quickly, let's be honest, man. Guadalajara doesn't need another team.
Yeah, they do.
All right.
Leones
How many
Negros.
teams do you need? Why do you need Leones Negros? When they came
Huh?
on, they were hot shit too.
I was happy with
It was
Ford.
hard. It was hard for them
Hey,
to get.
don't disrespect
Hold on.
Leones
It was
Negros
hard for them
legendary
to get
Mark
a TV
Rosas.
deal as well. No, güey, primero fue de Cruz Azul. Now, let's not forget, it was hard for them to get a TV deal as well when they first came on. Tecos was a hot piece of shit team that was always on like Viernes Botanero. Entonces, let's not romanticize these teams and like what they were and where they were. All right.
Dude,
I remember watching Chiapas play in the middle of the jungle. I remember watching Alebrijes having to clear a ball that went over a fucking river. Like, no mames, way. All of these things happen in La Liga. There's certain places that don't merit a soccer team.
Yeah, but Guadalajara is a huge city, similar to like Ciudad de Mexico. It's like London, it's like London and Manchester. It's like you can afford to have multiple clubs in those, concentrated regions.
Or
And
just like Buenos Aires, yeah.
yeah, like there's plenty of room for everybody. And you look at like some of these clubs that just they have no riz, bro. You look at like Juarez, like who's a Juarez supporter? Have you met anyone supporting Juarez? Hell no. It's like, dude, they haven't been around that long.
Bro, I was just in El Paso a month ago and I didn't see a single Juarez shirt.
Exactly. I remember like Indios de Ciudad Juarez. That was a cool team. I like that. The logo was cool. But there's just some teams in Liga MX. I'm like, bro, you guys suck at like Querétaro, bro. Dude, they just it's just hard to watch.
Hey, remember, Querétaro has new ownership. There's supposed to be fresh money coming in. There's all of these things that are supposed to be happening.
They have a Mexican kid who keeps scoring goals too. El Avila.
There's just like something that I really admire about the English league, and it's just the pyramid, bro. I mean, the fact that they can have a team like Wrexham potentially go all the way to the Premier League, like that is awesome. I love that the English, can do that. But you every now and then you see teams get promoted to the Premier League, like Luton Town, where you had to walk through like a neighborhood to get to the stadium, and like you're in someone's freaking house, and like, dude, I love that everyone has a fair opportunity to get into the first division based on performance, not because you're buying out a franchise that is broke, which happened to Morelia and then Mazatlan and now Atlante. It's like, holy shit, bro. I would love to see a team like Mineros de Zacatecas or, Dorados de Sinaloa, teams that are just, we haven't seen the league ever or in a long time. It's like, it'd be cool to shake things up and see what they're capable of doing. At least bring back Copa MX. If you're not gonna do this, bring back Copa MX so we can see the first division, the second division go at it.
I wish I could remember his name, but I saw a foreign player from Mineros, and he said that he would ask the taxi drivers if they would keep up with the team. And he said one of the common answers was like, no, porque no hay ascenso. So that's why like the fans just didn't want to invest their time and money because it just felt like, what are we playing for if the team's not going up?
Yeah, exactly. You have bragging rights in the second division. Big whoop. It's a topic that we'll probably continue to discuss on future episodes. I did want to talk about Javier Hernandez. Someone in the YouTube comment said, "When are you guys going to talk about Chicharito, your GOAT?" He did finally join a new project, Atletico Dallas, their USL side. He is their first signing. And I honestly thought he was going to double down in the media game because everyone has been speaking really positive and saying he did a great job with Fox. I agree. I think he came prepared. He didn't just talk like the diarrhea of the mouth that he usually does on his streams. So I give him kudos for what he did over the summer covering the World Cup, and I really thought that he would stay in that lane, but it looks like he still wants some action, and he's going to continue his career in the USL. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that.
I mean,
My thought is these names are whack. Atletico Dallas,
Yes.
FC Dallas, Football Club Dallas. Like I think they should do what all the other American sports do is like, Los Angeles Dodgers, like city name, mascot. Like you associated with the city and the mascot, yeah. None of this like Route Salt Lake. Like no, that's my problem. As far as anything else, Chicharito's reached the point where, he's divorced, he's been cucked. If he can do whatever brings him happiness.
pero wait, no mames. Like, why? Why? Go into media, go into American media. You could do so much good teaching Americans about the game, helping the No Sabo kids reconnect with their roots. Like, there's so much more that he could have done. And the main thing is this announcement, this big reveal that has taken place. Guess what? He's not on the pitch until next year.
2027. Yeah.
Exactly.
What,
As of right,
39?
dude, he's gonna get injured again. You know he is. All right, that knee is like, bro, a smoked turkey leg is more stable than that knee. All right, so I don't know what fairy tales he's telling himself or we are telling him, but it needs to be checked. Como he dicho de Chivas y como voy a decir de Chicharito, el máximo ídolo de Chivas, están arrastrando el legado.
I recall Didier Drogba joining a similar project in Phoenix Rising, and I think at one point they had some notable players that decided to join that project. So I think that's just what it is. It's a new team, and they did a really good job of selling him. It's like, you're gonna make this historic. You're gonna be our first club signing, and I'm sure they've offered him a decent wage. So why not, right? He's having fun. What's the difference of him playing like Cascaritas on Sunday and doing this in the USL?
You know what I think it is, man? To be 100% honest, I think that the big thing is that they're gonna let him cook, right? So they're gonna sign a bunch of these little kids, and he's gonna be able to have the same impact on them that he had on Hormiga, right? So he's gonna be able to have that mentorship. He's gonna be able to, taking away all of the negative connotations, he's gonna be able to groom these kids into proper football players.
We'll see.
And I think that's what kind of like gets him, right? Because if you always listen to him and the way he speaks like Dreyfus. All right. He speaks like a life coach, like a motivator, like oh, hard, guys. We can fucking do this. Imaginémonos cosas chingonas, that type of shit, right? So therefore, you're gonna have him at this new club that is underachieving constantly because you don't have the budget. You're USL. You're all of these things. So I think that's gonna be his big draw for him, or that must have been his big draw for him.
Yeah, it is what it is, and there's been so many opportunities for him to just call it quits, right? Even at Chivas, I think after, unfortunately, like how things phased out for him and him missing the PK against Cruz Azul, I think that was his sign to just like hang it up. And the transition to being a analyst or whatever on Fox during the World Cup, I thought that was, again, he really impressed me. I was very like skeptical of his ability to keep it professional because you see him on his social media and on his streams, like he just talks. He likes to talk, man. That guy's a talker, and he just says the most stupidest shit ever. And he has a trouble reading the room, but he flipped a switch during the World Cup, and I didn't really much watch any of Fox. Honestly, I was mainly on Peacock, but I did see clips of him breaking down some matches, and I was like, wow, he did a great job, and maybe he should do that. The question is, will he do it in the States or will he do it in Mexico? Because I don't think he's as welcome in Mexican press.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I think he'll do it in the States. But I think you guys also have to remember football is life. We saw Momia Gomez and Talacha. I seen this weekend Douglas Costa, Ronaldo Cisneros from Chivas playing in La Talacha, Chicharito, now he's going to USL. You remember, some of these guys just love the game. They want to play the game as long as they can. But sorry, Joel, you were saying?
No, I just said why. Why do you feel he wouldn't be welcomed? I think someone like ESPN could get a lot of use out of Chicharito. His English was good, and he could do both. Be like on the spicy soccer and whatever English stuff they have. But I've never seen where the media would be anti Chicharo.
I think it's just
Really?
the way they treated him when he was
Yeah.
a player.
That's everyone.
Hold
What do you
on,
mean?
hold
They,
on.
they
Nah,
Espérate.
dude,
treated
but
Hugo worse.
they drew
They
they,
treated
they
Hugo
dragged him
worse.
through the mud, bro.
Hugo was 10 times worse, even as
Yeah,
coach.
it might have been. Pero Joel, did you not see Chicharito's like big announcement when he was returned to Chivas? The way that he behaved with all of the press. Fue
No,
mamón de a madre, güey. Porque si no te acuerdas, está bien, güey. Like, I get it. Pero ¿sabes qué? I remember. All right? Y ese cabrón just sat there being a wise ass, ninguneándolos, and just being a fucking dick. All right? And you know what? You know what his legacy about his great return to Liga MX was? 2 goals over what? 3 years? No mames, güey. He's not welcomed back in the Mexican media. If ESPN was to sign him, they would have to keep him on the English side of things. He can't come to spicy soccer. Porque it's going to be
showing the
putazos
US
after
as well.
putazos.
That's what people thought with Hugo, and he's been a mainstay. Because Hugo, man, he'll get attacked way more. He eclipses the Hey Chicharito guy.
And what's Hugo's role in spicy soccer?
I don't really watch it, to be honest, but I know he's there and he's on the main show and he's one of the panelists.
He's just there to be a contrarian. He's just there to do the same thing that he does.
He's just there to
on his in his training
No.
sessions to be like,
Yeah,
yo
Therese.
fui el más grande.
No,
Yo
you're
hice
like
esto.
Google.
Here's my highlight reel.
Hugo was like, when I was in Madrid, and check out my goals.
Hey, go look up this clip of Hugo Sanchez on Fútbol Picante before the World Cup final. He literally says que Argentina ni las manos va a meter, que España es mucho equipo.
Oof.
and all the comments are just Argentinos, just like shitting on him, que no sabe fútbol, que es un mexichango. Just like giving it to him.
That's
That's
crazy.
awesome.
And it played out exactly how he said.
Damn. He knows ball, man.
Well, I mean, he wasn't a bad coach. I know he gets a lot of flack, but he was not a bad coach. He has pretty good numbers. So I mean,
Yeah, that's the thing I don't get. Like, why? What happened there? Because what was his last team? Pachuca. Like, it's been
no, what was it? I thought it was like in
back
La
in
Liga.
España. But
Yeah, one
he
of the.
just like kind of stopped coaching after that. That was in 2012. Yeah, his last team was Pachuca in 2012.
I think it's ego, because I think he feels he should be with the big teams, and he wasn't getting like the offers from big clubs.
You know what it was is when there was that rumor, or he was like rumored to coach Real Madrid. I think he got offended that they never seriously considered him, and after that, he's like, "Well, I'm not gonna ever be considered for this role, so I'm just might as well just hang up trying to be a coach."
Well, wait,
He-
what do you mean? I don't think he's accepted it yet. Because every single time that Real is looking for a coach, ESPN runs that Hugo
He
special.
puts his name on the hat, but dude,
Exactly, where he's like, estoy listo, estoy preparado.
dude, it's 2012, bro. You haven't coached in 14 years.
Pero es Hugo Sanchez. He's your grandpa's hero.
Yeah, it's wild. Believe that's all the topics I had on tonight's episode. Anything else top of mind before we get into closing thoughts?
Did we talk about Selección announced the friendly games?
What were the matches they announced?
So I don't know. I just know they announced matches.
Stay away.
I know that
they
people were
secured
pissed.
The U.S.
U.S. is one of them. I don't know about the other ones.
I know people were upset because they're all in the U.S. No games at Azteca, and I do feel that was FMF dropped the ball there because they've kind of gone a ways to winning back the fan base at that stadium, and it could have been at least the first game there, like you know how they have the going away, and this could be like the Marquez welcoming party, you know, and yeah, I do feel they dropped the ball, man. They could have gotten some weak rival, just someone just to beat up on, just because Mex fans just want that feel good match.
Yeah, I'm checking the Mex Tour website. These are all old. They haven't announced plans for the remainder of the year and next year, but I do recall seeing something on Twitter that they secured a couple friendlies.
I think here is Colombia on the 26th of September in Baltimore, Peru in New York, and the United States in Phoenix, and then Chile in Pasadena. So overall, good rivals, to be honest. But I agree with the Mexa fans. They should, one of those should have been in. Maybe they could still announce one. Bring in
Yeah, one thing
Guatemala or something.
What I read today is that obviously during the World Cup, Monterrey did not have Mexico. Didn't have a Mexico match, so they're saying for the Nations League that they're going to allow them to play in ese estadio since they didn't get any World Cup games. Yeah.
And to be honest, I think the Monterrey fans were happy with that because they're European. I'm sure they wanted Sweden over Mexico. So I don't think they're crying about it.
Yeah, Monterrey have notoriously been that region that they don't consider themselves Mexicans. They consider themselves European and French because when Gignac was there. So Yeah. Do they merit? Do they deserve a Mexico game? I don't know. But everyone loves that stadium. Everyone loves that iconic shot that you keep seeing on Twitter time in and time again. Let's get into closing thoughts, guys, and put a bow tie on this episode. Thank you guys so much for joining us on episode 520. Who wants to go?
I wouldn't say it's a closing thought. It's more of just a recap what we talked about. Abdias was talking about Hugo Sanchez, your grandpa's hero. And that's how I felt watching the Atlante America game. Every time they showed Atlante fans, it was just a bunch of grandpas. So I don't know how they're gonna survive, by creating new fans. The thing is, there's like 60,000 or 70,000 fans at that game, but that was mainly because it was at Azteca with America. I'm curious to see them against Puebla, Querétaro, those type of teams, how the attendance turns out. But at the end of the day, I'm happy to have Liga MX back. I will miss El Desmadre with espionage at some games. Atlas all of a sudden they got a BBL. Now they're gonna go buy a new home. Like I'm just here for it. As far as Chivas, I'm not worried about it. I'm actually looking forward to Leagues Cup because to me, Leagues Cup is going to be like preseason. Milito ideally has a full roster by then, and then when we resume the league, we get to cooking. And speaking of cooking, I'm gonna double down on my hot take from the last podcast. Chivas tiene todo para ser campeón, y si no es campeón, es fracaso.
Nice, Habibi. Yeah, it's so funny that they found like that Atlante fan with the freaking gray beard, white beard, and it's like he looks like he should be on the set of like Lord of the Rings or like Harry Potter. And then they found like an old photo of him from like years ago when Atlante was still in the first division, and he's like, "Damn, bro, I wish you would get that kind of loyalty these days in anything." But who wants to go next?
Bueno, caballeros, I'll go next. And my closing thought here is something that we kind of talked about earlier, right? And it's the fact of the way that money is moving across Mexico. It's really interesting to see how it is that every single team is trying to either become financially stable or figure out a way to balance their books independently, as to how it seems that big business is somewhat pulling back from that heavy sponsorship deals that they had with certain teams. So that's really interesting to see, especially, the way the whole America thing came out, how it is that Thomas was able to come in and shed a little bit more light on the subject. And it's really interesting just in general. But what makes it best of all is that there's these clubs that are broke, right? And the laughing stock has been Cruz Azul because we're homeless and this and that. But as it's been said, hey, if it means that I get to invest in my club and I get to see my team be campeón de campeones, equipo de la temporada, 2 años consecutivamente, all of these accolades that keep coming to Cruz Azul, you know what, man? I'll take it because that team is performing magnificently. All right? The way they play, the way they move. Güey, Wiki Dios is proving what happens when you take a coach that has put in the work, that has been the assistant coach multiple times, your institutional man, and give him all the tools that he needs. So, interesting times are afoot for Liga MX, and let's see where the ride goes. And with that being said, los veo a la próxima.
Thank you, Abdias, for joining us. Well, bring us home.
Not so much closing thoughts, but can't believe it's gonna be pretty soon that the selección is starting their new chapter. It's gonna be August soon, and then in September they're playing Colombia. I would have chosen a different rival just because you just want to start off with a win, for the fields. But it's just gonna see. We're gonna see what's going on with Marquez. And I don't know if you guys talked earlier because I was having problems. We're seeing what is it, the under
Yeah.
20 qualifiers,
Yes.
and that's for Olympics, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's going to be important, man. And I haven't been able to keep up with that, but I feel that that's something I don't know. I haven't heard much from FMF, but I feel that they should be focusing a lot in that, especially with the games being here in Los Angeles. Um, so let's see what happens there. But overall, excited for this. What's coming up soon, and what we're gonna see uh, of what Marcus is gonna do with this team, or how is he gonna change it, or just overall curious what his plans are for the national team. And just lastly, really quick, I begrudgingly agree with Habibi here about Chivas. I've gotten so used to not like defending Chivas for not labeling it fracaso, because most often than not, I felt that the expectations were set high over dumb shit. But right now, the team has one of the best squads. They've been one of the most consistent. So yeah, they are at that cusp of like it's one of your best shots to win it. Because it's not going to get easier. Especially how we're seeing a lot of teams didn't do much investing, and I don't know how true these facts that came out, or these stats, I should say, showing Chivas having the most expensive squad or the most valuable squad. But yeah, they're there, man. Let's just hope the constant cost to the selección doesn't end up biting them in the ass.
Joel, and
That's
to
all.
add to that, before
Yeah,
the World Cup, my mindset was like, well, we're gonna lose Brian, we're gonna lose Tala, we're gonna lose Hormiga, so
yeah,
I can understand like adapting this next tournament. But no, it doesn't look like that's gonna happen. It looks like the core group sticking together. You use the excuse that we lost players to the preseason camp of the World Cup. You don't have that excuse now. Like we have to go for the win o no
yeah,
podemos andar de llorones que nos quitaron jugadores.
Well said. Well
yeah.
said.
True.
Well, everyone, thank you again for joining us. For those listening on a recorded, once this is distributed, again, please send us your feedback. Let us know how we're doing on Spotify. You can actually add comments. I've been enjoying reading them. Don't go anywhere because we have plenty of football still happening this week. Tomorrow, we do see MLS All Stars versus Liga MX All Stars at it. I'll watch it because there's nothing else to watch. Mula and Son going against some of the Liga MX heroes. On Thursday, July 30th, Mexico will play their final group stage match against Guatemala. That's the U20. Obviously, with the news of Santi Sandoval fracturing his finger and being removed from the side, that's really unfortunate. Nonetheless, I still think that this team has plenty of roster to win that game comfortably and have a deep run in this tournament and hopefully qualify for the Olympics. And then on Friday, we're gonna have Puebla versus Chivas to kick off Jornada 3. That's at 6 p.m. So don't worry, guys. We have plenty of football for the remainder of the week, and we will be here every step of the way. So we thank you all for listening, and we will catch you on the next one. Good night. Good night, YouTube. Shout out to everyone.